Henry Danger has over 100 episodes. And somehow, some of the craziest moments in the entire show came from just a few of them. I'm talking about episodes where Captain Man got sent 101 million years into the past. Episodes where Jasper somehow became useful. And an episode where an entire city couldn't stop singing and dancing. Yeah, this show was completely insane. So today, we're looking back at 3 Henry Danger episodes that never get old. Let's start with the episode where Henry quit being Kid Danger and everything immediately went wrong. Now, before we talk about Drex, we gotta talk about Henry, because this whole mess started when Henry realized everybody around him was moving on. Charlotte was graduating. Jasper was graduating. Even Piper was graduating. And somehow, Henry wasn't. Now imagine watching your younger sister graduate before you. That's gotta hurt. And this also naturally Henry starts thinking about his future. And eventually he talks to Ray about it. And somehow the conversation goes so badly that Henry quits being Kid Danger. Yep, the sidekick of the most famous superhero in Swellview just quit. And honestly, the timing could not have been worse. Now, while all this is happening, Schwoz is busy building a machine. And not just any machine, a machine that can remove Captain Man's powers. Now, you might be wondering, why would Schwoz build something like that? Simple, because Ray told him he couldn't. And if there's one thing you should never do, it's tell Schwoz he can't do something. Oh, and apparently Ray keeps stealing his cereal too. So honestly, Schwoz was operating entirely out of spite. Now, after quitting, Henry heads home, thinking life is finally gonna calm down. But then he discovers something terrible. Drex is back. And if you've watched the previous episodes, you already know that's a problem. Because the last time they fought him, he got sent into the past. And somehow, this man found his way back. Not only that, he brought cavemen with him. Actual cavemen. Bro came back from the past and started recruiting. Now Drex sends some cavemen after Captain Man and sends others to Henry's house. Sounds dangerous, right? Well, not exactly, because the cavemen somehow get distracted by a ringtone. A phone ringtone. These dudes completely forget their mission, forget Henry, forget Captain Man, forget everything, and start dancing. At that point, they're not villains anymore. They're backup dancers. So Henry rushes to the man cave to warn everybody, only to discover something even worse. Drex already beat him there. Now Henry actually does pretty well. He takes down the cavemen, fights his way through, and for a moment it looks like he's got things under control. Then Drex steps in. And suddenly things get serious, because unlike the cavemen, Drex actually knows what he's doing. And that's what made Drex such a good villain. Most Henry Danger villains rely on gadgets, or luck, or some ridiculous plan. Drex was different, because he understood people. The same way he tricked Ray before, he starts manipulating Schwoz, and somehow convinces him to build a machine that will erase everybody's memory of Captain Man. Because Drex doesn't just want to beat Captain Man. He wants to replace him. Now eventually Drex activates the next phase of his plan. And this is where things get crazy. Because he sends Captain Man back in time. Not 100 million years, 101 million years. And the reason is absolutely petty. Apparently Ray had sent him back 100 million years before. So Drex decided to add an extra million years. Just to be annoying. Bro really said, plus 1 million. That's hating at an elite level. Now, after Ray disappears, Henry is completely lost. And honestly, I don't blame him, because Captain Man has always been the guy with the plan. The guy who charges into danger. The guy who never loses. And now he's gone. Meanwhile, Drex is preparing to erase everyone's memories. So the pressure is suddenly all on Henry. Luckily, Henry isn't alone, because Charlotte, Jasper, and Piper show up to help, although Jasper isn't exactly focused, because this man has apparently been teaching himself Japanese while sleeping, and learning martial arts while sleeping, which sounds completely ridiculous, but somehow that's one of the least weird things happening in this episode. Now, while Charlotte starts working on a weapon that can remove Drex's powers. Henry tries to figure out where Ray might be, and somehow he comes up with the weirdest theory ever. Apparently, whenever Ray gets angry, he likes punching a particular tree. So Henry basically says, if Ray comes back to the present, he's probably going to go punch that tree. And somehow, he was right. Meanwhile, Piper and Jasper are trying to rescue Henry's parents, which should be easy. The cavemen are literally dancing to a ringtone, but somehow Jasper still manages to mess it up. At one point, Piper wants to blast them. Jasper says, "Don't worry, I got this." Narrator: he did not got this. The cavemen absolutely destroy him, and everybody ends up running back to the man cave. Now, eventually the cavemen follow them back. The crew gets captured. Things are looking bad, and then somehow Jasper starts fighting them in his sleep. In his sleep. Bro spent the entire episode being useless, then suddenly turns into a ninja the second he falls asleep. That's honestly the most Jasper thing ever. With Ray finally back, the team launches one final attack, because Drex is now preparing to use his memory machine from a giant blimp. And if they don't stop him, nobody will remember Captain Man, which means Drex wins. Not by defeating Ray, not by destroying Swellview, but by replacing him. And honestly, that's a pretty smart plan for a guy hanging out with cavemen. And that's why the Drex storyline is one of my favorites, because it had everything: Henry quitting, cavemen invading Swellview, Schwoz causing problems, Jasper learning Japanese while sleeping, Captain Man getting sent 101 million years into the past, and one of the smartest villains the show ever had. Drex wasn't dangerous because he was stronger than Captain Man. He was dangerous because he knew exactly how to get inside people's heads, and that's what made him unforgettable. Now, if getting sent to the Stone Age wasn't bad enough, let's talk about the time Captain Man and Kid Danger got absolutely humbled. Because this episode starts off pretty normal. Everybody is just hanging out in the man cave, playing games, having fun, doing whatever superheroes do when they're not fighting villains. Then out of nowhere, Schwoz comes out of the bathroom drying himself with a bunny. A whole bunny. And apparently that's when everybody realizes towels have been disappearing all over Swellview. Now hold on. Towels have been missing for who knows how long, and y'all are just noticing? That's kinda crazy. So they get an alert showing that a bunch of stolen towels are all being moved to one location. Now personally, I'm with Ray on this one. Because when Charlotte tells them about the towel situation, Ray basically doesn't care. And honestly, I don't blame him. Because imagine being Captain Man. You spend your days fighting dangerous villains, and now somebody wants you to investigate missing towels. That sounds more like a police problem than a superhero problem. But then Charlotte starts beating Ray in a game. And y'all know Ray's ego is bigger than the man cave itself. This man had already bragged about how he was going to win. So instead of accepting defeat, he suddenly decides they're going on a mission. Not because of the towels, not because of public safety, but because he couldn't handle losing. Now before they leave, Schwoz tries introducing a brand new suit he created. A suit that's supposed to make them stronger, faster, and better in combat. But Ray and Henry immediately start acting cocky, talking about how they don't need the suit because they're already superheroes. And not gonna lie, whenever a character says they don't need help in a TV show, you already know they're about to regret it. So they finally arrive at the location and immediately find the guy behind all the stolen towels, Barge. Now, first of all, this dude was huge. I'm talking the kind of big where you see him and immediately start reconsidering your life choices. Because the second Ray and Henry saw this guy, you could almost see them regretting not taking Schwoz's suit. And honestly, I would have been regretting it too. So Henry decides he's going to be brave, steps up, gets ready to fight, and gets thrown aside almost immediately. Bro got folded so fast, he probably started missing the man cave. Then Captain Man steps up, probably thinking, don't worry, I'll handle this. And then he gets thrown too. At this point, both of them are learning a very important lesson. Maybe Schwoz wasn't crazy this time. And just when things couldn't get any worse, Barge sprays them with Flabber Gas. Now, firstly, do you guys even know what Flabber Gas is? This isn't your regular gas. It's basically a gas that paralyzes whoever gets sprayed with it. Now I have absolutely no idea if something like that exists in real life. And honestly, I hope it doesn't. Because if it does, imagine arguing with somebody and they just pull out Flabber Gas. Bro, the argument is over. You're not winning that one. So after getting sprayed, Ray and Henry get absolutely destroyed and end up getting thrown into the sewer. The sewer. Imagine getting beaten so badly that your next destination is literally underground. At that point, I'd start questioning my superhero career. Luckily, Schwoz comes and gets them out, brings them back to the man cave. And that's when everybody finally realizes something. Maybe they should have listened to Schwoz in the first place, because now they're paralyzed, can't move properly, and still somehow need to stop Barge. Which leads to one of the funniest plans in the entire episode. So they finally decide to use Schwoz special suits. But because Ray and Henry can't move properly, Charlotte and Jasper have to control them remotely. Now Charlotte controlling Henry makes perfect sense. She's smart, responsible, and actually knows what she's doing. But Jasper controlling Captain Man? Oh, who approved that? Seriously. Who looked at Jasper and thought, yep, that's the guy we trust with Captain Man. Because the moment Jasper gets control, this man starts having way too much fun. Bro was moving like he just unlocked a new character. Meanwhile, Charlotte is actually trying to save the day. She's focused, making plans, trying to stop Barge, basically carrying the entire team. Meanwhile, Jasper is treating the situation like the greatest day of his life. At this point, Charlotte probably felt like she was babysitting 3 people at once, Henry, Ray, and Jasper. Eventually, they head back to face Barge again. Only this time, they've got Schwoz's suits. And unlike earlier, they're actually prepared. Or at least, Charlotte is. Because the second the fight starts, Charlotte is doing everything. She's fighting, dodging attacks, making plans, basically carrying the entire operation by herself. Meanwhile, Jasper, this dude is doing anything but fighting. At one point, he's literally dancing while Charlotte is over there risking her life. And somehow, it gets even worse. Because instead of helping with the fight, Jasper starts controlling Captain Man toward a hidden stash of coins. I'm not even joking. While Charlotte is busy fighting Barge, Jasper is basically treasure hunting. So Captain Man punches the wall. The coins fall out. And instead of helping his team, Jasper actually bends down and starts picking up the money. Well, your team is losing. Why are you looting? At this point, Charlotte was basically fighting Barge, controlling Henry, and carrying Jasper all at the same time. Now, eventually things start going really bad, because Barge manages to pin Henry down. Charlotte can't do much, and for once, everybody needs Jasper to actually focus. The plan is simple. Grab the Flabber Gas, spray Barge, save the day. Easy, right? Wrong, because this is Jasper we're talking about. So Jasper grabs the Flabber Gas, gets ready, takes aim, and somehow sprays himself. Bro had one job. One! At that point, I know Charlotte was fighting demons, trying not to lose her mind. Luckily, Jasper finally gets it together, takes another shot, and this time actually sprays Barge. The Flabber Gas works. Barge gets paralyzed. And just like that, the fight is over. And honestly, that's why this episode is still one of my favorites. Not because of the villain, not because of the action, but because of the absolute chaos. Captain Man and Kid Danger spend half the episode unable to move,